They say the crime was small, just a bite, just a moment, just a decision. But heaven knew better, because at that moment, creation cracked. This is not just the story of Adam's disobedience, this is a forensic deep dive, a reconstruction of Eden's crime scene under divine scrutiny. We're not just tracing a mistake, we're unraveling a legal and moral catastrophe that shook heaven, fractured the image of God in man, and opened a spiritual fault line still felt today. In this gate, we follow the fingerprints of sin. We watch how one act tore through the entire moral law, how the voice of a serpent undid the voice of the Creator in a man's heart. The garden was not just the setting for man's fall, it was the courtroom, the altar, the battlefield. And Adam wasn't just a man eating fruit, he was a witness, a thief, a traitor, a priest-turned-rebel. And by the time the dust settled, the 10 Commandments, though not yet written in stone, lay shattered in spirit. This gate is where sin walks in, but it doesn't walk alone. It drags shame, death, deception, and division with it. And the question is no longer, why did Adam sin? It is, how far have we fallen since? Let us open the file, let us examine the evidence, let us stand in Eden, not with romantic nostalgia but with investigative clarity, and see the moment when light dimmed, trust was severed, and mankind chose rebellion over relationship. This is Gate 8, where sin enters and everything changes. 1 bite, 10 laws, shattered. They say it was just a bite. But in that single act, Adam shattered not 1 commandment, but all 10. We tend to think of the 10 Commandments as a list carved in stone centuries after Eden, but the reality is far more profound. These weren't just rules for Israel. They were the eternal moral character of God, reflected and written into the fabric of creation, long before tablets were ever etched on Sinai. Let's walk through each commandment, not through the eyes of Moses, but through the eyes of Eden. You shall have no other gods before me. In choosing the serpent's word over God's, Adam placed another authority above the Creator. He dethroned the voice of the Most High and gave his trust to a creature. The first commandment was shattered. You shall not make for yourself a graven image. The core of idolatry is not statues. It's the reshaping of God into something else. Adam accepted a distorted image of God, a God who supposedly withholds good, a God to be doubted. He didn't bow before a carved idol, but he worshipped a twisted version of the truth. The second commandment was shattered. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. God had declared the truth. His word was clear. By rejecting it, Adam made light of God's name and reputation. He treated the holy as common, and the divine as suspect. The third commandment was shattered. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The Sabbath was the symbol of God's finished, perfect creation, a celebration of trust and rest in Him. By choosing rebellion, Adam violated the heart of Sabbath. He refused to rest in God's provision and sought knowledge apart from Him. The fourth commandment was shattered. Honor your father and your mother. Though Adam had no earthly parents, he had a father, his Creator. To disobey God was to dishonor His origin, His authority, and His very breath of life. The fifth commandment was shattered. You shall not murder. You might think Adam didn't kill anyone, but in truth, his act introduced death into a world where it had never existed. By sinning, Adam became the father of all who would die. The wages of sin is death, and death entered through him. The sixth commandment was shattered. You shall not commit adultery. Spiritual adultery is when we turn from our true covenant with God and unite ourselves to another. In that moment, Adam broke spiritual union with the one who formed him, and entered covenant with rebellion. The seventh commandment was shattered. You shall not steal. Adam took what was not his to take. God had given him every tree, but reserved one. In reaching for it, Adam robbed God's boundary and stole what was set apart. The eighth commandment was shattered. You shall not bear false witness. By trusting the serpent's lie, Adam joined in the lie. He gave testimony by action that God was not trustworthy. In that bite, he became a false witness against the character of God. The ninth commandment was shattered. You shall not covet. Adam was not content. Though surrounded by perfection, he desired more. He coveted what was beyond his jurisdiction, lusted after forbidden knowledge, and grasped at what was not his. The 10th commandment was shattered. A single sin, total collapse. In one moment, Eden became a crime scene. And Adam's sin was not a crack in the law, it was a complete collapse. He didn't stumble into sin, he dove into it. And we inherited the fallout. So what does this mean for us? It means this. Sin isn't about how many rules you break, it's about who you betray. James 2:9. The one who said, "Do not kill," is the very same who said, Do not covet. Break one, and you stand guilty of all. Remember that moment in David's life when he chose to remain behind instead of going to war? That single act of neglect, abandoning his royal duty, became the doorway to a chain of devastation. It opened the door to coveting another man's wife. Coveting led to adultery. Adultery birthed deception, a scheme to bring Uriah home from battle. That deception led to drunkenness, and from there, murder. What began as passive neglect exploded into an avalanche of iniquity, dragging not only David but the entire nation of Israel into long-lasting turmoil. This is why when God says do not, it's not for his own benefit, it's for yours. God is not diminished by your theft. He loses nothing when you sin, but you and those around you carry the consequences of your disobedience. Yet today, many think they're doing God a favor by avoiding sin. But the truth is this: when you refuse to kill, you avoid prison. When you live with integrity, you benefit from the trust and respect of others. God is not improved by your honesty, you are. In upcoming sessions, we will carefully unpack what righteousness truly is. But before one can grasp righteousness, one must first come face to face with the true nature of sin. So let us ask you, what have you gained from these teachings? Have you come to understand sin more deeply? Do you still see it the way you once did? We believe something has shifted in you. We believe understanding has begun, and that is just the beginning. And unless we understand the depth of that betrayal, we will never understand the true meaning of repentance, or the cost of the cross. The crime scene has been examined, the evidence is in. But this is only the beginning. If sin shattered the law, then what restores it? If Eden was the fall, what does it mean to rise? In our upcoming Righteousness series, we move from the courtroom to the mercy seat, where justice and grace collide, and the full beauty of God's redemptive plan comes into focus. Don't miss it. Your soul needs this. Your future depends on it. And if this investigation stirred something in you, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button, not for us but for you, because understanding sin is powerful. But understanding righteousness, that's transformation. We'll see you at the next gate. Stay curious, stay alert, stay redeemed.